Alright, hello. This is Suneku with another tips and tricks for Gen Mom or anyone who's interested. We're going to be talking about the next rotation, which isn't open right now, so we won't be able to do a short demo. But really quick, go through the weapons that are in this rotation. Today is March 21st, 2022. And this is for the Arc Polaris rotation with Flingza Roller, Slosher, Dualie Squelchers, and Heavy Splatling. So first we have the Flingza Roller, and this is a roller that's sort of a, let's say, best of both worlds between the Splat Roller and the Dynamo. So you have somewhat Splat Roller mobility and range when you do a normal, is this horizontal or vertical? I guess it is horizontal. A normal horizontal swing, so it's about the same. And in terms of Dynamo, it has a similar vertical swing. To get a vertical swing, rather than just pressing ZR to swing, you jump and then press ZR. So horizontal is always on the ground, and vertical you have to be in the air. I think even if you're falling. Oh, no, never mind. You have to press the jump button. So Dynamo gets this really long distance strong swing, but it's pretty slow. It takes a while for it to wind up. While the normal roller has a short one, not as long to wind up, but not as far. And then you have the Flingza Roller, which does a little of both. You have your normal swing. Maybe it's even more like a carbon roller. It's pretty fast. Normal swing if you're on the ground, and then the vertical swing takes a while and has range similar to a Dynamo. I don't think it consumes nearly as much ink though. So this is a good weapon in terms of salmon run because of the best of both worlds aspect. If you need to go fast and get out in a pinch, you have your normal swings. If you want to try to do more damage or get something further away, you have your jump swings. So it's really handy. So with rollers, I believe this is our first roller we're talking about. In terms of hitboxes and doing damage, I don't know all the details of it. As long as you're close, your damage will be pretty consistent, but the further out you go, the more inconsistent, and as well the hitboxes are a little more inconsistent too. So that's something to keep in mind, especially when it comes to the vertical swing. And instead of having a circle, you have like these arrows that are going upwards. Personally, I don't use them. I hardly notice them when I'm playing. So I just get a feel for how to aim with this weapon on its own. So the jump swing, the vertical, what we call a flick, is really good for steelheads, as well as getting other bosses far away. While the horizontal one is good for crowd control. A little general roller tip is that is something that Dynamos do a lot, is that you can also jump while doing the horizontal flick. You just have to start the swing first and then jump. So you have I don't even know if this is added mobility. That's just something that you can do with all rollers. So let's take Dynamo really quick. So if you jump and swing, you get the vertical. If you swing then jump, then you get the horizontal one. In contrast to PvP, rolling with the roller is pretty good. Except for Carbon, I suppose. It's not the best, but all the other rollers, if you roll in Salmon Run, it's very useful. It'll paint paths for you when there's a lot of green ink around. It rolls over all small fry and chum for this one specifically. And it doesn't take up a ton of ink, which is good. So there's two modes that have like a key strat for roller when it comes to rolling. The first one is rush, when you have all the little crazy salmon rushing you. You can roll over them, which is useful, but what a lot of beginners don't realize is that they don't need to hold the roller down all the way and keep running around like this. The reason you don't really want to do that is because you're moving your positioning away from where your teammates are, where you're trying to hold up to maintain the rush. But also it ends up costing you a lot of ink. And it's possible for you to get surrounded if they start targeting you, etc. So what you can do when you're using the roller during rush is when you're holding it down, even if you tap very slightly, you do the same amount of damage as you would if you're rolling at full speed. So I'll do a full speed roll on this dummy, this is 125, and then I'll move as slow as I can. And still get 125 damage. So slow rolling is very useful because it helps you keep your position much easier. You do the same amount of damage, and you use a lot less ink when you're doing it. So just very slightly raising your control stick in any direction, you can do the slow roll, and it's very useful. Another small thing about rollers is, use up some ink. Even when you have your roller down, your ink will be refilling as long as you're not moving. So you can see my ink tank is slowly filling up. That's the case for all weapons. If you're just not doing anything, your ink tank will refill. But even with rollers or with brushes, if you have your roller down, as long as you're not moving, your ink tank will refill. So that way, if you're doing rush and you need a little more ink, you don't have to go back into your ink and then swing and set up again. Especially useful for Dynamo since the Dynamo swing is so slow. But yeah, that's the info for Flingza and our first introduction to rollers in general. The next weapon we've already talked about, but there's one additional thing I wanted to talk about, and that is, if I can find it, probably should have just looked through special. The Slosher. Whoops, I pressed done. I will go back. So as we talked about with the Slosher before, you can aim your shots high to get damage on the enemy, or to get damage early. You can hit more than one enemy at the same time. As you can see when you slosh, you have like this nice long trail that goes with your slosh. And this trail it's possible to manipulate. So I could swing normally like this, or if I turn my controller a lot, you can see that the ink trail kind of turns. Let me reset This is like a normal path, and then there's that path. So it will follow the motion that you take when you're swinging it. Depending on how you move it. And it can go even as extreme as like going completely behind you, like that. Sorry if this makes anyone dizzy. So this is an sort of an advanced technique that not many people use in PvP. You can survive just by playing the weapon straightforward, totally fine. But there might be instances where there's some enemies sort of spread out horizontally to you, and if you could manage a swing that goes and turns that way, then you'll be able to hit a few of them. So that's just something, or a new little technique that you might want to keep in mind when it comes to the Slosher. And I'll add on another one if the Slosher does return again. But yeah, that's just a little more information on the Slosher. Next should be the same special. Next is the Dualie Squelchers. Dualie Squelchers are hands down the most mobile dualies. You might think Tetras are the most mobile because they have 4 rolls, but it's not really the case. The reason these dualies are very mobile is because, unlike any other dualie, which I will take, let's just use splat dualies, when you roll, you're gonna be stuck in the spot that you roll at for a short amount of time, depending on the dualie. So I can't move when I get into turret mode for a certain amount of time with these dualies. But with the Dualie Squelchers, when you roll and go into turret mode, your character, or your Inkling Octoling, is still sliding whatever direction you choose. So if you can tell that I'm like still sliding, constantly moving, if I had enough ink and I kept doing rolls to the side, you can see my character is constantly moving, whereas opposed to the normal dualies, there'll be a little stop period between each one. So that's one thing that makes the Dualie Squelchers special. They are the longest range dualies, because they're supposed to be like jet squelchers. But with that being said, at their farthest range, the damage can be a little bit inconsistent, especially if you're not in the turret mode. So you can keep that in mind. Like with the turret mode for Glugos, if you roll, instead of having 2 circles, you'll just have 1. And this will make your aim a lot more accurate. So if you can roll, that's ideal, but if you can't, that's totally fine. You can still aim fine. It's the same damage either way. And yeah, I think that's all I'll talk about with these for now. And then we can maybe talk about more advanced stuff if they come back or something like that. But yeah, just keep in mind that these dualies are very mobile, so just keep moving. And that might be something that'll help you if you're practicing doing your dualie rolls. The last weapon is Heavy Splatling, but I don't think we'll go over it, simply because we already talked about it, and I don't think I have anything else to add about it. Just a general reminder that make sure you have a lot of space for stuff. When it comes to arc, I don't think you can reach a lot of things from like the second floor or the third floor. Well, from the second floor you can reach a lot of the stingers, so you don't have to go down to get them if you're just trying to take care of them and not get their eggs. But for some of the really far out ones you won't be able to reach, and others it's a stretch. So just keep that in mind. It's a medium to long range weapon. Good for being like a quote unquote backline for this comp. So yeah, I think that's it. Whoops, pressing all the buttons. I think this is a very fun comp with Flingza, Slosher, Dualie Squelchers, and Heavy Splatling. It has a lot of range, which is good for arc, so you don't have to fully commit to a lot of bosses if you don't need to. And you can keep your space and stuff like that. So maybe practicing spacing would be good for this rotation. But yeah, I think that's all I have to say. Hope you enjoy watching this. As always, if you have any questions or any requests for weapons or topics or something like that, just let me know. And I will see you another time. Bye bye.